Cat fights city councilman for territory in local library. Libraries. You either love them or you don't remember the last time you were made to set foot in one. For some, they have a reputation as dull, dusty places full of broken books that nobody wants to read. But one Texas city found a way to make their library the talk of the town. When a cat was added to the facility staff, kids and adults alike couldn't resist spending a few extra minutes in the book stacks. But after a few complaints, the town city council was forced to take a vote that determined the fate of the cat and the library's heart and soul. Meet Browser, a tabby who was a library cat ever since he was young. His whole life, people considered him a mascot, an attraction, and a friend. But in 2016, all of that nearly changed. His home was the public library in a small town outside of Fort Worth, Texas, called White Settlement. Staff and volunteers took turns caring for the cat, but he was pretty independent for the most part. Browser was actually adopted from a shelter by the library when he was still just a kitten, as a cheap resolution to a rodent problem. And ever since then, he certainly earned his keep. Some of Browser's hobbies include napping in the staff's chairs, warming up on laptops when people are trying to work, and attending GED classes twice a week. He learned so much that he earned an honorary diploma. While many adults enjoyed his presence as well, it was the kids who made up most of Browser's fan base. They loved to give him a little pat when he came in. Some said he was their favorite part of their library visits. On top of that, he inspired many kids to read, not just by making the library feel more fun, but also by listening enthusiastically when they took turns reading all sorts of books to him, mostly cat-related ones. "He's just like part of the family, you know," a volunteer said. "People come in looking for the cat. They want to see him and they want to pet him. And he's the most gentle cat I've ever seen. He wouldn't hurt a fly." Best of all, the library didn't even need to spend any government money on Browser because the staff sold calendars of him every year. Who wouldn't want this handsome guy on their wall? Well, back in 2016, there was talk within the city council to have Browser removed indefinitely from the only home he'd ever known. It all started when an unnamed man wanted to bring his dog to work at City Hall, but was refused entry with his pet. He felt there was a double standard with Browser and petitioned to have all animals banned from public buildings. Additionally, concerns were raised about allergies. At that point, nobody had ever complained about suffering the side effects of the feline's presence, but the issue was taken quite seriously. City Councilman Elsie Clements campaigned avidly against Browser and voted to have him removed. "I know I'm coming up for re-election in November, and I probably just doomed my fate," he said. The crowd laughed. Public opinion aside, the Council of White Settlement held a vote on Browser. The first council member voted for eviction. The second voted to let him stay. The third vote would make or break things for Browser. Council member 3 voted to give Browser the boot. With a 2-to-1 vote against the cat, Browser was given a 30-day notice to leave the premises. "He's just a precious cat," another volunteer said, "and that's his home. It seems very, very cruel to remove him from it after all these years." As it turns out, more than just a few people felt this way. When Browser's story was shared online, it started an international outrage, with fans from all over the world begging the city to save Browser in the battle of cat versus councilman. "Browser belongs to the community, and we're responsible for him," Mayor Ron White said. "What kind of example for the citizens of White Settlement are we setting if after 5 years we no longer want Browser?" "We don't feel like it's right," one of the librarians said. Even though she wasn't worried about finding Browser a new home, "We don't feel like it's good for the cat. We don't feel like it's good for the community." After an enormous amount of backlash, including angry phone calls and pleading letters, the city council members reconvened to once again discuss the fate of the beloved cat. And they made the right decision. Browser was reinstated. And by November, White Settlement's residents read some pretty shocking news in the local paper. Elsie Clements had lost his election for city council. Perhaps his 9 lives were finally used up. Now Browser is purring loudly in every corner of the library, happy to be back with the children and all the volunteers.